The beginning of the 70s would be tragic times for Jeanette, but she would recover. With great strength and courage, she would continue on.
I shall resign the presidency effective at noon tomorrow. Vice President Ford will be sworn in as president at that hour in this office. As I recall the high hopes for America with which we began this second term, I feel a great sadness.
Jeanette was 52 on August 8, 1972, when President Nixon resigned. His downfall was due to the cover-up of the break-in of the Democratic National Headquarters at the Watergate Hotel. Jeanette often said that he was the only president she ever voted for, and he let her down. Jeanette was 55 on August 16, 1977, when Elvis Presley died. Elvis was 42 when he died of a heart attack. He was one of the greatest recording artists of all time. This is an interview taken with Elvis in 1958, shortly after he was drafted into the Army.
And the impact of Mr. Presley was a big question months ago, but not now, as Elvis explains.
Elvis, since you've been in the Army, have the boys given you kind of a rough time in the barracks because of your past career, would you say?
No, sir, I was very surprised. I've never met a better group of boys in my life. They probably would have if it'd been like everybody thought. I mean, everybody thought I wouldn't have to work and I would be given special treatment and this and that. But when they looked around and saw I was on KP and I was pulling guard and everything just like they were, well, they figured, well, it's just like us.
In September of 1970, Jeanette lost her husband of 25 years. Frank died suddenly in his sleep. With 2 children still at home, she used her courage and determination to carry on.
Now I was trying to think, when I came home, who the heck was home? Was that Eileen home? And she says, Ma, she said, the post office called, but I can't get Frank awake. When I came home from work. Or was it, maybe it was Jeff. And then I said, what? When I went in there, shook him and everything, and it said, wake up. And then I noticed he was all blue already. Then I figured, oh my God, he's dead, Because I know a while back he used to always tell me he was getting chest pains. But I said that was quite a shock when I went in there, that he didn't make work, and then I saw, oh my God.
What it was like living with my mother after Dad died. I remember the morning of his death. It was just like clockwork. Every morning at 4 o'clock his alarm would go off. And I always got up, turn his alarm off and wake him up. But that morning, some other force, I just got out of bed and closed his door and went back to bed. I guess Jeff found his body. He was sitting in the chair when my mom got home from work that morning and said, I can't get Dad up. And then she went into the room and I heard her scream, and then she called my family doctor, Dr. Theobald, and the emergency people. Things were a little tough, but in a sense, and then also in the sense we had one another too. I didn't like the fact that the guys from work were hitting on her. Yeah. I thought that was wrong, and I felt that if she would go out with them, she'd be committing adultery even though my father was dead. So there was a little bit of, unfairness on both ways.
Were you closer? You think you got closer?
I think in some things, yes, and then in other things, no. Like I said, we always ate together. When she worked 3rd shift, and so we always had our suppers together.
Was she more relaxed relaxed type person?
She was much more relaxed. Yeah, like I said, the pain and the problems of worrying about where he is and what he's doing and how he's going to come home and what shape he's going to be in were gone.
Yeah.
So in that sense, that did kind of build the relationship too. You know, I mean, we had each other.
See, what was Ma like after Dad died? See, I was 14 at the time. Well, being a kid of 14, I was kind of always busy running around with my buddies, doing things. But I noticed there was a lot more added stress on Ma because she had to do everything for herself, like pay bills and getting used to being by herself. But being a strong person that she is, after a little time, just almost with any other person, you lose someone you love. You know, she snapped back and handled it well and returned to her own self.
After Dad died, I think maybe Mom was could have been a little more relaxed because she didn't have to worry about him drinking and coming home drunk and all the things he used to do and the arguments and the fights. But I think too that when he wasn't there, when he died, then she was alone and she had to make all the decisions herself about, in a place up north, about working and fixing that place up because that wasn't done. And so I think she was more relaxed, but yet she had other worries. Things kind of changed then.
This is Jeanette's house up north. It's located on Bear Lake in Hazelhurst, Wisconsin.
Oh, we were looking for a place up north to go. We used to always go up there on vacations, you know, take you kids. And then we decided to buy land, you know, up there and build a house, you know. So one time we went and looked and we found this place where we are now and built. I'm trying to, how many years ago is that? That was
Like 67 when I was in the Army.
57?
Like 67.
67? Oh, that's right. You were in the Army then yet. Anyway, that's... And we only just started building, and Frank put the rafters and stuff on. We had a builder, you know, get the outside shell up, and then, remember Frank had always put those beams in and that with another friend. And, but he never got to be there very long. Then he died, you know. Then I had it finished by other carpenters, you know, finished the house. And so I always kept the place.
Going up north, the vacations, the family vacations, I think were probably the best.
Yeah.
Going up to the cabins and being out there in the wild and the nature is what I loved, and the family was together. That was not, I mean, you weren't a lot of times. I don't remember us going on a lot of vacations when you were around, but that was very special memories with me. The fishing and just the family being together and doing stuff together. I know we didn't go on quite a lot of them, but when we were real young.
Do you remember camping on that land when they bought that?
I remember camping on that land. That was, we're talking major roughing it, because at that time the lake wasn't built up a lot. And we were out there in the middle of the woods, it seemed like, you know, and no other of the houses next to her weren't built. And some of the storms that they would get up there at that time, it was very frightening. But the campfires, cooking outside in the campfires, and that was all kind of really neat and special.
I remember one time where Ma said that they were up there in the storm and trees were falling and there was lightning.
Right.
There then?
Yeah, I remember that most distinctly. Of course, I had to sleep in the car because to this day I have a snoring obsession. You know, I can't stand it. So Dad would snore so terribly bad, so I slept in the car, and then could see the flashes, the lightnings, and the trees bending right over it and touching the ground. And of course it was so loud and raining so hard that you never really realized how many trees had fallen until you woke up the next morning and seen how close they were to hitting the tent, you know, at the time. But that was quite an experience.
Jeanette took many vacations with her friends from Carnation. They went on a Caribbean cruise together, Las Vegas, and even to Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. I remember the Mexico trip well. I still have the t-shirt she brought back for me. Jeanette had a sense for adventure and was always included on these trips because she was well liked by her friends.
Did you go on vacations with a lot of these people?
Oh, when Evelyn Staffeil worked there. But then now I went with her, and then who else? I can't remember who else. So a bunch of us from Carnation went to the Bahamas.
How did you get there?
We flew and then went on that ship.
Cruise?
That cruise ship. We had a lot of fun. Then that Evelyn Strasberg, she was so man crazy. She went one night, she didn't even know that guy slept in his hotel room. And then there was, then we went out to eat one, and then when there was a guy, he wanted to come in my hotel room. I said no. See, I knew how to handle myself, you know. And I figured I knew just what he wanted.
And why was that? That was because you were a dish?
I suppose that was because I was a dish. Everybody tried to get a hold of me. A piece of me, or whatever you call it.
Where else did you go?
Huh?
Where else did you go on vacation with?
Where else did I go?
Some of your workers.
Oh my God! See, who did I go with to Las Vegas? A bunch of it was Carla Krieger, and I'm trying to think who else. It's me. Did Evelyn go too? Evelyn Strasberg? But she was always so man crazy. Every time she see the man, she took off with him. We'd never know where she went, you know.
My mom as a person, I think she, in many ways I'm a lot like her because I like people. And I think everybody liked my mom. I think she was she had a lot of friends, and she overlooked a lot of bad things about people. You know, like acquaintances at work and family and things like that. I think she was a very good person, a very kind person.
Do you think people liked Matt?
Oh yeah, I'm sure she had she's a really outgoing person, you know, pretty friendly. I'm sure there was quite a few people that she got along with and liked.
Jeanette bowled in the league for over 40 years. It was one of the great joys in her life. She won many trophies and awards during that time. But the best part was spending time with her friends.
Oh, when I went on over there for recreation, a bunch of us from Carnation had a bowling league from Carnation. And then a lot of times we'd go when they had these, what do you call that? Tournaments, yeah. When they had these tournaments, that's where we were once too. We went to Milwaukee and bowled, and we went bowling at, oh God, where were those places yet? I know Milwaukee, and did we ever go to Madison? I forget now where all the places we went. And that was a lot of fun, you know.
How old were you when you stopped bowling?
Oh, God, how old I was when I stopped bowling? Oh, let's see. After so many years, I forget how many years I bowled. And then I didn't feel like, you know, bowling anymore.
Must have been about 70.
Yeah.
Say it.
We used to have a lot of fun, but then as you grow on, I got kind of sick of getting ready to go bowling, you know. And then
You were about 70 years old, huh?
I must have been about 70 years old when I was bowling yet. And after a while then, there were so many people that quit and stuff, so that it wasn't fun anymore, you know, bowling. But you know, things get old, and then things change, and then I had so many things at home here to do. So I got to, my hobby is now plant flowers and stuff, yeah.
Jeanette retired in 1988 after 33 years at Carnation. I cannot remember her ever missing a day of work. On the day she retired, she told me that she felt like her life was over. Carnation was like a second home to her, and she would no longer go out the back door of her house, walk the 1 block to work, go in that side door of Carnation, walk through the plant, and punch in on the time clock. Jeanette had been working at various places for over 50 years, and now there was no job to go to. But she soon learned that it was just the beginning.
Like to, when I retired, I would have felt good. I don't have to worry about getting up and going, you know. Now I was on my own. I could do, if I did do anything one day, I'd do it the next day. And this way, when you're working and you've got kids, I always had to figure out the food, and like I said, and Karen had always put it on the table, and how that worked, I don't know. But it all worked out okay, I guess.